You are listening to Productivity Straight Talk with your host, Amber De La Garza. Amber is a sought-after productivity coach, trainer, speaker, and writer who gives entrepreneurs the straight talk on personal productivity. No BS, fluff, or overused jargon. Just actionable strategies to get results and succeed in business. And here is your host, Amber De La Garza, the Productivity Specialist.
Welcome, and thank you for listening to Productivity Straight Talk. Today is episode 274.
Well, welcome everybody to Together We Serve. Sorry, the video was still playing. A little tech stuff, but I'm excited to have my guest on today. You got a little tidbit of her podcast. She actually does, and I'm going to verify this when she comes on, solo podcast to educate you, inspire you, and motivate you. Together We Serve is all about working together. And would you like to be more productive? Would you like an extra hour during the week? Maybe an extra hour during the month? Maybe an extra hour every day. I want you to think about that. That's what my guest does, and I'm so excited to have her on because she was on my podcast and it was a great success. A lot of people got some great information. She inspires and motivates, which I love to have my guests do. So let's welcome today Amber to our show. Welcome, Amber.
Hi, thanks for having me.
You're so welcome. You're on my podcast, and I get such great feedback, and because productivity is so important. And I work with mentor entrepreneurs and business owners. Time is always something they talk about. So talk about productivity and time.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I find that time management affects all aspects of our lives, from personal to business. Anytime we're looking to achieve our goals, I think that a major roadblock that many people are experiencing is lack of time. And so that's what I teach people is how to maximize their time, how to create efficiency. And I start with really defining what productivity is, and what that looks like for them, and then giving them the strategies to be productive more consistently.
Had to do that.
That's awesome.
Because it's the bottom line for a business. You could be more productive. I mean, our bottom line is ROI. Company has to make money. Entrepreneur has to, across the board. We know that. So if I'm more productive, I'm making more money is what you're telling me?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I specialize with service-based business owners. And in a service-based business owner, well, there's all different types of industries and services that are being provided. Really, what we're selling is time. Time of the business owner or time of that of our employees. And so when we can be more productive, it actually impacts our bottom line directly. Absolutely. And in addition to not just that direct line of being better with our time, but when we're less stressed, we're more focused, it makes the journey of entrepreneurship easier. It makes it more joyful, which is what I get really excited about, not just the financial aspects and the wins of being productive, but really how that impacts all other areas of our lives when we're not going to work or our businesses, and it's a form of stress, and then we take that home.
You just put out a little magic that can make people $1 million because it's so simple, it's so logical, but people aren't doing it, and that's why you're here.
Yeah, I think that not a lot of people connect the two of, you know, how they're investing their time is directly impacting those two areas, financial and their stress, their quality of life. And, you know, for a lot of us, we became business owners because we were fleeing from some sort of lack of quality of life because of corporate or business, other businesses we worked for. And that's my passion, is to make the businesses and the dreams that we have as business owners be something that we look forward to. And as surprisingly as that might sound, I think it really comes down to feeling like we're productive. Steve, I think that you probably, as a business owner, can relate. Like, you could be really, really busy and you could work the same amount of hours in a day and you hit your pillow and you feel exhausted, worn out, defeated. Or you can work those same hours and hit your head on the pillow and be like, oh my gosh, like I really accomplished something. Like I made an impact. And just the difference in where you're focusing your time actually creates energy, excitement, and really gets you ready for that next day to show up to work.
Talk about bringing people in as a team, a VA, things like that, because this could be a big, I'm sure, a proponent of your business, what you teach and help people mentor. Talk about that, because I think that's important.
Yeah, absolutely. So I have to tell you that I've been doing this for 15 years, specializing on productivity with business owners. And it's not a surprise that a lot of the times the business owners are like, no, I'm good. We're just going to hire, or, you know what, work with my staff. They're the ones that have the issue with time management. And I have to tell you that it's top down. And so I actually made it, just the way that I run my business is that I start with the business owner first, because as a leader in our companies, especially small businesses, our team members take the lead from us. And even if you have the most organized, productive team members, if you don't have your own house in order, you're almost fighting it. And then it actually can make it chaotic and a mess. And so I start with the business owner, but of course, to be your most productive self, you need to be able to delegate and you need to have a strong team. And that could look like, we're really blessed in this day and age. Even when I started my business 15 years ago, it wasn't as common, to have VAs and virtual and part-time and all the options that we have available. And so when we're looking at delegating, I say sooner is better. And rather think outside the box. Like, you may not need 15 hours a week. You may not need 40 hours a week. But could you imagine if you now can hire a virtual assistant or someone with a specialty skill that even took 5 hours a week off of your plate? Let's call it 8 hours. That's a full workday for you. And we have that at our fingertips now to hire very specialized, skilled help that can actually reclaim an entire day or more for you by hiring and adding to your team.
It's powerful, because my dad used to tell me all the time, I'll never forget it, don't recreate the wheel. Mm-hmm. And that's what you're doing about being productive. Don't recreate to hire a VA, because I've seen VAs from $7 to $10 an hour. So you spend $50 a week, 10 hours. So yeah, did I do that right? Let's do $7 an hour. That's 10 hours, $70 a week, $280 a month. Mm-hmm. Well, if you're making 10, 50, 80,000 a month, very minimal. But what can I get back from that 10 hours?
Right. So I think that it would be helpful if I just defined productivity for your audience as I define it, because I think that everybody has their own experience with what productivity is. So I define it as you are being your most productive self when you're investing your best time into your best activities. And it's less of a definition and more of a framework, because your best time is going to be that focused, distraction free. You're showing up your best. You're in your unique skill zone, right? On your best activities. And your best activities are going to be the tasks and projects that actually move your business forward, or i.e., propel you towards achieving your goals. And every business has different goals. And so because the business owner wants to be more productive and the team members want to be more productive, one of the ways that I help clients is by helping them identify what their high value activities are, so that they know when they're being most productive. And I break those into 4 categories, and I'm going to share all 4, but I'm going to jump to the 4th one because that's what we're talking about is team. So category number 1 that a business owner will always find their highest value activities is going to be marketing and visibility. So letting the world know what it is they do and how they can help them. Bucket number 2, when you're showing up consistently in number 1, is going to be sales, right? So actually asking for the business, doing the proposals, the discovery calls, however you have those sales conversations in your business and your business model. Number 3 is servicing the clients. So that's either actually servicing the clients, creating the product, anything about delivering the thing that you're trading for revenue. And when we're really small and we're a solopreneur, we're in all those buckets all the time. It's just us. But what can happen is as your business starts, doing better, you're going to build a team, and you're going to be less and less in not just those three areas, but many other areas in your business: bookkeeping, uh, administrative, like general administrative tasks. And you're going to want to show up in the leadership bucket, which is bucket number 4. And this is incredibly important because so many business owners actually have this, misconception that when they're showing up in the leadership bucket, they're doing that at the expense of not being productive, doing what they should be doing. And as a business owner, your highest value activity, where you're going to get the biggest return on your time, is investing in others. So when you're investing in team members, where else can you get a multiple on your time? There's nowhere else you can get a multiple on your time.
No. And the recap, audience, being a leader is the most important thing. If you're the founder, CEO, entrepreneur of your business, that's where your focus should be, not sending emails for other people or going on Canva and doing all the marketing stuff. Yeah, you're going to start as an entrepreneur, but I love that because people lose sight of it. Oh, I can't afford, Amber, I can't afford Steve. I'm like, you can't not afford us.
Right. Or it's something like, I can't afford to slow down to teach them or to delegate to them or to do the hiring. And, when you're investing in others, like, this is perfect for your audience. It is a form of service, right? So we start our businesses, we want to be in service to our clients, but at some point that need is greater than what we can provide. And so then we become serving our team members so that they can multiply and serve our clients. And when we think of it that way, it's like, it's actually an honor to be able to build a team. I think about my own team. My own team is all moms that work virtually. They get to raise their babies. And when I'm serving them and I'm providing this business that now allows them to provide for their families, that's actually really high up there on my, things that I'm proud of. It's not just, how much revenue does the business make? How much profitability? It's, what is this business that I'm building able to provide for other families, and what that provides in their homes.
Well, and the other thing, and I love that you do that, Together We Serve, you work together with the company, your client, their company, and you work with your team to serve. And that's the whole genesis of this TV show, and I appreciate that. I want to talk about technology because I'm a big tech guy, so I'm helping people all the time. But I think that's important because it does help. One, is that what your team helps with that? Like an email, Gmail, to help them maximize their Gmail with productivity? And 2, how important is tech in your eyes?
Yeah. So the honest answer is that my team does not help my clients with specific technology. I stay in the lane of consulting, coaching, training. And where does technology fall? Technology is incredibly important, but it is always secondary to behavior change and habit building. And so I do not lead with this program, this project management, mastering your Gmail or Outlook is going to actually make you more productive. Now, going back to my definition of being productive, investing your best time into your best activities. Well, if you can be more effective and efficient because of technology, then absolutely, but it's a supporting role. It's not the same definition. And while we're there on the definitions, a lot of people think that organization, right, being organized is the same as being productive. And I do not think that's true either. And Steve, I think you might agree with this. Have you ever met someone that has the messiest desk, piles of paper, you could barely see them, but they're slaying their goals? Probably. And
yes.
Right?
And
okay.
I'm there. I'm with
right?
you.
And and Steve, you may have also met somebody that has a color-coded calendar, perfectly clean desk. They know all the apps. They're shifting from one project management system to the next, goal, like shiny object, and they're not achieving their goals. And so that is my best example of saying there is a place for organization. There is a place for technology, 100%. But I don't like to confuse them and seem as though it's the same as being productive, because we both know people that are very disorganized that are still reaching their goals. And that's the definition of being productive. And we know people that are organized, and we know people that are using tech and not tech. And the real thing that we're looking for is to reach goals. And I have found after 15 years that that is all about how we show up. What is our behavior? What is our relationship with time? How do we make decisions about where we're investing our time? Will have the biggest and most consistent impact.
Yeah, and I appreciate you saying that. I asked that question with that caveat. I want people to know that you don't do tech, and you have people that you refer, and of course I have a network. We work together. That's powerful, because a lot of people don't stay in their lanes. Like, I can make 50,000 here. I know about this, and maybe they can help them. I'm not saying they can't, but staying in your lane is part of productivity. I want you to talk about that, because I think it's important about staying in your lane.
Yeah, I mean, look, when we make really complicated business models, we are inviting stress, overwhelm. It's actually not often more productive. And so when we stay in our lanes and we get to be really, really good at the thing that we provide, we get to do that over and over again, which means that you can start optimizing how you're serving, how you're delivering that service or product, which then will increase profitability. I want you to think about your business. And if you have a lot of offerings, that means you have an SOP for every offering. You have someone that needs to learn how to deliver or provide the products for all of those offerings. And so it becomes really expensive to do so. In my example too, so when I decided to narrow my lane, then you become the go-to company. You become the go-to person where they know that is exactly what they're going to get. And it allows you to run a more streamlined business. Honestly, when I'm in and out of businesses, and I am every single day, hundreds of businesses, I've been in and out of hundreds of businesses over the years. And you may not think that this has everything to do with productivity, but one thing that I always work with my clients on is actually their business model. And it's never about bloat. It's never about how do we add more to be more profitable. In fact, I go in and I say, okay, how can we streamline this? How can we actually reduce this and make this simpler? And I would advise anyone listening to rethink about it, because over time, when we first start, we're throwing stuff at the wall. We're like, will this work? Will this work? Will this work? And if you don't come back and actually take the things off the wall that weren't working, you end up with a business that has way too much bloat. And so my advice would be go back, audit it, take the things that are not as profitable, and then focus on the things that have the highest potential. And there's a winner there for sure.
Yeah, and I appreciate what you're saying in regards to all this with the lane and productivity and the ROI. It's the elephant in the room. Anybody listening, that's the elephant. Okay, Amber, you got a beautiful voice, this and that, but is it going to benefit me? And I love that you said that you're going to grow. Talk about customization, because that's what we're all talking about. My business is different than Joe Smith's, than Debbie Montgomery's, so on and so forth. I think that's another superpower you guys have, is to look at what I do and go, here's how you can be productive. It's not the same for others.
Oh, yes. Okay. So this is my methodology across the board, is that productivity, while it's a framework and a definition, I keep going back to that, it does not look the same for everybody. So for example, me feeling like I am showing up my best and most productive, I am the girl with the color-coded calendar. But in 15 years, I've maybe had 5 clients that ended up with a color-coded calendar. The way that I work, I need to honor, and the way that you work, and each of my clients and each business owner needs to work. And so you need to take into account your personality, your experiences, what are you uniquely skilled at, what actually works for your brain. Like, how do you like to see information? How do you like to process information? How do you like to make decisions? All of that is what I take into account when I teach foundational and fundamental strategies for productivity, but they are always customized and they will never look the same. And why this is powerful is that if you're listening to me speaking right now, maybe you've tried something you read in a book, or your friend said, do this and it's going to work. And you're like, I did. It didn't work for me. I would urge you to say, well, what foundationally, like what is the strategy there? And then how can you customize it for yourself to make it work for you? There is nothing wrong with you. In fact, I want you to celebrate and honor how you can interact with a strategy and make it work for you. Because at the end of the day, that's the only goal, is to find something that works for you. So tweak it until you get there. And this is what I also, do in my coaching and consulting is like, I'm like, okay, based on all this information, here's what I think is going to work. Come back to me, give me feedback. If it's not working right, okay, I have a second option and a third option. We're going to keep tweaking it, because the goal is that it works consistently over time, which just boils down to it needs to work for you. Every strategy that you try.
I got to do that again because you nailed it. I talk to people. I'm going to say, and I understand saving money. It's important. But if you're an entrepreneur, business owner, you've got to spend money to make money. My dad, 50 years ago, I hear it probably 100 years ago, they were talking about that. But don't DIY and go and Google and go, I'm being more productive. I'm going to Google how to be more productive and watch 5 hours of videos. It may work, but the word that comes to my head is accountability. That's what I'm using Gmail and I'm not being productive. Well, let's see what, like you just said, you do the SOP through them. Okay, why? Let's figure it out. We don't have time to do it ourselves.
Yeah. I mean, I think every solopreneur, business owner, when we first start, we have to DIY it. There's not the money to hire it out.
Yep.
But what I don't want is that becomes the way that you make decisions moving forward when there is money, and that you are thinking that this is the way you have to do it because you did it that way before. Like, we really need to know, like, when's that sweet spot to start spending money to get an ROI? And I actually wish that I realized that earlier. And when I think about why I didn't spend more money early on in my business, I didn't because I didn't believe that the thing I was going to spend money on would make enough ROI impact to give my money, right? And so there's this like trust thing of like, okay, I got this money in my business. I know what my problem is, but like, where do I invest that money to have the biggest impact in my business? And I think that's a great question to ask no matter what stage of business that you're in.
Yep.
And when you're thinking of hiring a coach, and I'm just specifically talk about that because that's what I do in my services, I believe you need to hire somebody that you really like. When you listen to them, you're learning, but then your brain is going, okay. And you're nodding your head and you're like, that makes sense to me. Like, that resonates with me. Like, what he or she is saying really resonates with how I see the world, or how I like to solve problems, even if I didn't get there that the same way, right? Like, even if I didn't have that solution. Because when you're in alignment with your coach, and it's actually beautiful. Like, I'm stuttering because I'm like, man, when there's an alignment, there is a huge ROI, because I believe then you become a partner. And when you can partner with your coach, business coach, or for me, I'm a business coach specializing in productivity and time management. So whatever specialty that you're looking for a business coach in, it should be a partnership. And there, in my opinion, coaching should provide both training, like strategies, like filling your toolbox, but also what you were talking about, Steve, is this accountability. And the accountability for me with my clients is, what do you need to consistently stay, I want to say motivated. I'm saying that really loosely with air quotes, like, how do you stay consistent with taking action? And that accountability, I don't know anyone that actually doesn't show up differently for someone else than they show up for themselves. Yeah, right? No, and so that's that built-in accountability. But there's a second layer there. Some people work really, really well under like straight talk, like, don't BS me. Like, you said you were going to do X, Y, and Z. You didn't. Is that still important to you? How are we going to move forward? Right? Like, super My business, my podcast is called Small Business Straight Talk, and it was Productivity Straight Talk, which you played at the beginning. So really straight talk. But there's also times and there's also people that are like, you know what? Okay, it was a really rough week. Let's have some grace for ourselves. How do you reset? How do you restart? And you're more motivating them and empowering them with a softer side. And so my accountability is actually both. And I can switch in one session, I can switch between clients, and both of them are uniquely who I am, because I feel like those are natural parts of my personality, is where I lead with love and grace and understanding. And I also really give it straight. And so finding that person or the coach that is going to hold you accountable in the way that works for you, going back to customization, accountability does not look the same for everybody and what works for them.
Yeah. And we're coming to the break here. I love all that. That audience is $1 million tip if you're looking for a coach. Because a lot of people ask, what do I look for in a coach? I am going to borrow that every time somebody asks me. It's not, price, of course, is important. If somebody's 10,000, 2,000, that's a variable. But I love that they've got to fit you, and they've got to understand you. And a lot of coaches don't talk about this. I'm being very public now. They don't talk about partnership, because it's exactly what it is. Yeah, they're paying you partners, and that's so powerful. I want to recap before we go to the break. All this and productivity came to my head: mindset, habits, accountability. Talk about mindset and productivity.
Yeah. So I often tell my clients or potential clients when I'm starting to work with them that our coaching together is always going to be the intersection. I talk with my hands so often. So it's going to be the intersection between strategy and mindset. Almost every single challenge in your business is going to be some variation of a strategy can solve it, or it's a mindset issue. And it's almost always a combination. So sometimes it's all mindset. Sometimes you got the mindset nailed and it's strategy, and vice versa. So knowing what tool you need to take out of your toolbox, like if you have the challenge and it's in the center of the room, the first question I would ask is this a strategy? Like, I don't have the answer. I don't know how to actually fix this. Or do I know how to fix it? And it's a mindset issue where there's self-sabotaging. There's, I can't believe it. There's imposter syndrome. There's so much around the mindset that shows up in productivity and time management. And again, when I talk about hearing something that resonates with you, I want to say this. How often do you as a business owner actually know what needs to get done or what you want to get done, but it's not getting done? And if that's the case, oftentimes it's some sort of mindset. And working through, are you self-sabotaging? Do you have limited beliefs? Getting to the root of that will unlock you being able to take more consistent action on the things that you've learned everywhere, whether it's a webinar, a podcast, a book, things you just know for yourself. And you're like, but why am I not implementing it in my business? Look at mindset.
Oh, I was just listening to you and I forgot to push the button. I was so excited. It's so powerful because, mindset's everywhere. It's in sports. It's in business. It's in life. Mental health is a big problem right now. Mindset again. What's your mind? Depression, anxiety. But we lose sight because I'm glad I asked that, because we think of productivity as, okay, do my email better? Do my admin tasks better? How do I answer the phone? How do I schedule my calendar? Which you do all that to help people, so they maximize their calendar. But a habit is a mindset. I'm going to check my calendar from 8 to 10 in the morning, and I'm done.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, to your point, and I know we got to go to break, but so I'm talking about mindset, like working on your thoughts and your beliefs around why, like specifically why you're not applying a strategy or taking action in your business. But you made a wonderful point, like depression, anxiety, the overwhelm mental health is huge. And there is a connection to the way we show up in our business, and our relationship with time is going to either help you or hurt you. Meaning it's either going to like double down on depression and anxiety, or it can help alleviate it because you feel like you have more control of your own environment. And so I often think that the way that you're interacting with your, time and other people through productivity, I seen it time and time again. So many of my clients are, on depression medicine, on anxiety. The overwhelm is great. They're getting ready to close the doors if they don't figure it out. And then they figure it out. And then business gets easier. And it's almost like that black cloud can come off. And I know that there's so much more to depression and anxiety, but what we don't need is that the thing that's providing for our families, our business, to be the source of so much stress and overwhelm. If we can fix that, it's like, oh, I can see light. Okay, I can make more progress and feel a lot better, both physically and emotionally.
Was huge because I'm thinking of my own self and people you've talked to. When you've got a project or things you've got to do, like I traveled last week, so I'm behind. A bunch of stuff yesterday. I felt great. No anxiety, no stress. The next thing you're going to build some because I still got some stuff to do, but I call it flow, the flow of energy.
Yeah.
That's rocking, and that's what you do with productivity is that flow. Okay, well, let's take a break. She's talked way too much for her voice, not way too much for education, because I could keep listening to her all day. So let's take about a 5-minute break. You're going to learn a little bit more about Amber during the break, and we'll bring her back and talk about her inspirations.
That was in 2018 when I found your podcast. I listened to you for about a year before 2019. I did kind of a mini session with you. I think it was the Time Management Made Simple course to kind of get my feet wet with the personal coaching with you. And so this was a great way for me to see, do I see value in the personal coaching? And I absolutely did. This coincided with me hiring my first employee. There were a lot of bumps in the road that I needed help overcoming. And so, through that course and questions to you and your input and feedback helped me, grow that employee into now my right-hand person that, I will do anything to keep. So from there, it was the company kind of, we kept growing rapidly. And then in the fall of last year, I guess end of summer, August of 2020 is when we began the one-on-one coaching. And since that point in my business, it's kind of exponentially taken off. And so I, attribute that to the lessons that I've learned with you, being able to just bounce ideas off of you looking at it from an outside perspective and really getting involved and feeling like you are an extension of my business as, a team member trying to help push the business forward. And so in May of 2021, so May of this year, we ended up hiring another 2 to 3 people. And so from the time I started, when it was just me, I now have a team of 4 full-time employees and multiple contract draftsmen and renderers and things like that to help keep the business moving forward. That was in 20.
That is a powerful, I call them video case stories. I don't believe in testimonials because testimonials talk about how great the company is, how great Steve is, how great Amber is. What I want to hear from people is, because really they could care less about me, probably care more about Amber because she's awesome. But really us is, yeah, I'm this, I do this great, do that. How can you help me? And just listening to Michael's testimony, did you hear what he said? He started with one. Now he's got multiple employees that he can't live without. That's an ROI from a coaching perspective you want to take advantage of. You see that she speaks. If you got a group, she's speaking. We'll talk a little bit more about our podcast here in a minute. But I'm just so stoked that she's on here because these tidbits could change your life and make you millions of dollars. Let's bring Amber back. Amber, welcome back. That was a powerful video case story from Michael. And I saw there was many more. And I got to say, I saw MGM Grand you spoke with, and it was another big company. I forget the name of it. That's powerful.
Marriott, Cartier.
Cartier.
Yeah.
Audience, I'm pumping her up because I haven't spoke to those groups. Have you? Nothing wrong with us, but that's the power of what she's doing when big companies like that want to hear her, and you get feedback from people that were at that speaking gig going, life changer. It's made a difference. And you have so many years involved. I want to talk about you in the perspective. What's your inspiration about productivity? It can be so, not lame's the right word, but so bland and neutral.
I get it. Oh my gosh, yes.
What's your inspiration?
I got to tell you, I started my podcast back in 2017, and it was initially called Productivity Straight Talk. And I couldn't tell you that I was going to be able to do 350 plus episodes directly on productivity, but I did it. And my inspiration comes from being in the trenches with my clients. And, let me just back up. Even before, why would you want to specialize in productivity? I went to college. This wasn't on my radar. I went to school. If anyone, I asked my son, he's 14, and we just went to a college fair last night, and it's like, what do you want to do when you grow up? Well, nobody says productivity coach. So what was my inspiration? When I prior to starting my own coaching company, I worked for another real estate company, a large company here on the West Coast. And they had a division where they had business coaches that coached their top 2% of sales executives. And the department was responsible for coaching on business systems and how to leverage through growing a team. And I was fortunate enough through my career to be able to get in that department, be trained as a coach, and work with the top 2% of sales executives. And when I was working with them, we had all strategy. So back when I was talking about how I run my company, which is the intersection between mindset and strategy, this was all strategy. We literally handed them exactly the playbook on how to grow their teams and how to build real estate business systems. And yet I would come to each session with a client and I would hear some version of, I want to do this. Like, I know I can do this. Now I'm talking to very successful people, financially successful. They've done well for themselves, but they wanted more. And they would come to the sessions and say some form of, I'm so overwhelmed. I'm so busy working in my business. I have no time to work on my business. And when you keep hearing that over and over, a seed is planted. And so fast forward in 2010, when I left the company, I had my son and that seed was planted. And I just thought, oh my gosh, there are skilled, successful, really good people out there running businesses that don't have the skill set to manage themselves, manage time, be productive, and actually take their business to the next level. What if I could bridge that gap? What if productivity was not something you were born with? It's not a gene. It's not something that somebody over there has, but that it's an actual skill set that can be learned. So I actually spent 2 years diving into the subject endlessly to answer the question of, is this a skill set that can be learned? And when I was 100% sure that it absolutely could be, I was like, this is it. If a business owner is lacking this skill set, the ROI is so great because they can achieve any goal they set out to do. I'm going to go teach people how to be more productive in the skill set of productivity. And that was my inspiration where I started my business. I knew nobody else that had this company. I knew no other productivity coaches. And I just tested the market to see if this was such a pain point that I thought it was. And now it's been 15 years. And now there's so many other probably productivity and time management coaches, but when I started, I didn't know any.
There's a few. There's not a lot. I mean, even today, I meet a lot of entrepreneurs. Excuse me, but that's cool inspiration. In real estate, talk about productivity. Realtors need it more than anybody. So publicly live, I'm going to say I'm going to get you some people I need to connect you with because there's so much competition. Lawyers, same thing. Life agents. Productivity can take you over the edge to help you be more creative, to be different, and grow your business in a very competitive market, right?
Yeah. And, we spoke about this on your podcast, but when you up level your own productivity, you're able to serve your clients at a higher level. And so when you're in a saturated market where, the layman, the normal person thinks every real estate agent is the same, every insurance agent is the same, every X, Y, and Z is the same, you're not. I know that. Steve knows that, but, usually people that are looking to hire you may not know that. So how can you set yourself aside? You're present, you're on time, you're going above and beyond, you're delivering at such a high level because you've mastered the skill set. Now marketing, sales, it all becomes easier because you're going to have referrals and repeat clients. And so again, full circle, it's all connected to not just yourself, but your profitability in your business when you focus on this skill set.
Yeah, it's powerful what you just said. Audience, make sure you write that down or listen to this over and over again, because here's the cool thing. Anybody can do it. It is not female, male, older, younger. There is no bias to that at all. Anybody can do service. Anybody can do value. Anybody can change people's lives.
Yeah.
But it starts like you do with your coaching mindset. You've got to believe that you can do it, because the problem with it is when you do service, you don't know how, when, or where it's going to return that ROI.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I have clients really bringing this full circle to customization, uniqueness, bringing the value. Like I'm thinking of one particular client right now, like she will never put anything on her calendar, but she lives by her calendar, and we figured out what works for her. And she has team members to come in behind her and fill in all these details so that she can just be laser focused in her lane, highest value activities to grow her business. But that doesn't look the same as someone else that's like, okay, I'm getting in, I'm planning my day. No, we got to a point where we had to teach her team members to plan her day based on her high value. And so again, productivity, time management doesn't look the same. The underlying strategy there, Steve, is you plan your day. Now, whether it's you specifically doing it or you're teaching your team members to help support you in doing that, That's the difference of how wide and varied that this can look. And it's also about how you can honor who you are. This client could be like, I'm a grown adult. I should be able to put something on my calendar. Or we stop fighting it and let you stay in your zone and still get the stuff on the calendar. You're not shaming yourself, and it's going to work for you because we've unlocked that. So anyways, I just thought I would just share that story, an example of why and how this can look really, really different. And ultimately, we all are sharing the same end goal of, we want these functional, profitable businesses. We want to reduce stress. We want to enjoy our lives. When you open this up, you said, what if we can, reclaim 1 hour, a month, a week, a day, right? And the fact is that when I am speaking in these large groups of people, the question that I ask is, if I could wave a wand and give you back 1 hour a day, what would you do with it? And Steve, the first time I asked this question, I was blown away, and I'm like, I don't know if that's right. And then I asked it again and again, and now I get the same answer every time, is a resounding from the audience: sleep. Sleep. So we're thinking about being more, better with our time so that we can do more. Yes. But actually, sleep is one of the only things that we do exclusively for ourselves. And so what that means is, after dinner and you put the kids to bed, or on the weekends, you're literally, condensing this amount of sleep that you need to rejuvenate and to be able to focus the next day, because you're like, I'm going to get that one more thing done. I'm going to work on that other thing, next thing. And I want everybody to have the gift of guilt-free sleep, getting exactly what they need to show up their best. So
valuable lesson.
There you go.
Because experts across the board, I've talked to many experts, sleep is one of the most important, besides nutrition and moving. Sleep is one of those 3 things that you need to have. And if you're not being productive and you've got stuff on the table at 8 o'clock at night, you go back into the office. I don't go back into the office. I may check emails, and I learned that from you in our podcast, was, for me, and that's not everybody, is put it away, because you work up till 10 o'clock, you go to bed at 10 o'clock, it's stuck in your head.
Yeah.
And you can walk away for a couple hours, you get good sleep, and move on.
Yeah. Yeah. You're right. Sleep, nutrition, movement. And those are the 3 things that get squeezed out first in the, in the vein of, I'm going to be more productive. And if you don't get anything else out of this conversation, if you just flip that on its head and say, that is actually my highest value activities, most important is sleep, nutrition, and movement. And then you fill in the rest of the schedule with the things that are going to grow your business and keep your life going and all the other things. Just flipping the priority, you are going to see a huge difference in your life.
Yes, yes, yes. I'm not even going to do the crowd noise because probably people are sick of it, but the crowd is cheering right now. And I want to add, audience, I'm going to edify Amber how important she really is, because I've talked to over 100 millionaires and billionaires in the last 6 months with my connections and podcast. 95% of them have help. So if you're not successful or a millionaire or billionaire and you want to be, you don't have to be if you don't want to be. If you want to be, you need to be more productive, and you need to learn how to create that wheel of a VA or you, whoever. This is the power of what Amber does, because if you don't do productivity, you'll never be successful, millionaire or billionaire. Because across the board, I've talked to them, especially after our podcast. I go, hey, what makes you more productive? Having help. Somebody handling my calendar. Somebody handling my appointments. Somebody, checking my email, whatever that component is. Again, it's customized. So that's why I'm so excited that you were on today, because together we serve partnership. You can say partnerships we serve if you wanted to change it. It's so powerful. We're coming to the end here. Couple things. Real quick, sales and productivity. I know we went around the sphere on that, but give us a 1 or 2 minute comment. How important to be a better sale. We're all selling. Audience, if you're listening, you're selling. Family, business, whatever. How does productivity help with sales?
Yeah, so I'm going to take it back to the 4 areas, buckets. If you're a large company, they would be different departments. Is that you're right. We do focus on sales, and we generally focus on servicing our clients, and that is a high value activity. But if you can really focus on giving more balance to where you're investing your time, and when I say balance, I do not mean equal amounts of time. I just mean consistently showing up based on what your business needs in marketing and visibility and sales and servicing your clients and leadership. It will affect sales in the fact that you are not going to have your head down servicing your clients that are right in front of you, and then lift your head up and be like, where's the next client coming from? Where's the next lead coming from? We have to consistently be investing in all of those areas so that cash flow is consistent, profitability is consistent. And so when we're looking for consistent outcomes, we have to have inconsistent inputs. And that is how you're looking at where you're investing your time.
Great question, even better answer. I'm going to pat myself on the back because you went away. I didn't think you would go. I've just learned something there, and hope audience, I know you have, because that's sales is the important thing. We've talked about many times, and we're running out of time, and I can't believe how time flew. I knew it with you, it would. So I got a fun question for you. So I've reserved a Learjet. There's 4 seats in it. I've got a pilot there. I've got a stewardess.
Oh my gosh.
You're, of course, going to take one seat, and the other 3 seats, dead or alive, who would you invite, and where would you fly?
Oh my gosh, I hate these questions. I do not know.
Do.
So, okay. So let's see. Where would I fly? Well, I know it's not like sexy, but like we took a road trip to Tennessee, and I would go back to Tennessee in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
It was gorgeous. That's where we plan to retire. And I would take obviously my husband. He gets the front row seat with me, and then my son. How many seats? 4?
4 total. Yep.
4 total. And one more. Okay, I know this is corny and it's no one popular, but my 2 dogs are going to have to share the last seat.
I'm a dog lover, so I don't think that's goofy. Maybe you out there do, but
Yeah,
I love that answer. And going to Tennessee, my sister-in-law lives in Tennessee, so I'll meet you out there. So that would be great.
yeah. That just gives you insight. My people, my core circle are my people. Take them anywhere with me, and my fur dogs, my fur pets.
And audience, her website's been going by. That's a great way to contact her. As you saw at the break, there's a contact place to contact her. Reach out to me if you have any questions or want to connect with her as well. But you've got all her information. Thank you again, Amber, for being just an incredible guest.
Steve, thank you so much for this opportunity and great questions too. You asked me questions I haven't had before, so that's a testament to your interview skills and how you serve your audience. So thank you.
We'll bring it full circle. Partnership. That's what it's all about. We're partnering up.
That's right.
Okay, everybody. We'll see you in the next episode of Together We Serve TV show. Have a great day, everybody.